Today is Thursday, July 15th, and welcome to the 8:30 show. I'm KJ, and every Thursday night you'll find me here at 8:30 p.m. on YouTube at Metro Conservative Media. Please hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. At the same time, I'm also live on Facebook at Metro Conservative Media's page. Again, please like our page and join the conversation on YouTube and Facebook by commenting. We will respond to your comments during the show. This is a show where I chat with various individuals about their conservative journey. Tonight, my guest is Billy Prempeh. He is candidate for the New Jersey 9th Congressional District. How are you, Billy?
Hello there. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. I am so excited about this interview and to hear all about what you are doing in New Jersey. And so generally, I generally start each show out with first like a random question and answer segment. So
Sure.
Before we get into politics and things like that, so basically it's a fun way so the audience gets to know you a little bit better.
Okay, I'm down for that.
Good. Okay. So it's a rapid fire round. Basically, I'll just ask you a series of questions, and you just answer with whatever comes first to your mind. Okay.
Sure. Okay. All right. Absolutely.
All right. All right. So first, what are you most known for amongst your friends?
I'm most known for. I'm most known for being the guy that digs too deep into politics. I'm known as the guy that's very huge in professional wrestling. I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Okay.
Even before, so fun fact: before I got involved in politics, I was actually training to be a professional wrestler, and I was very good at it. But COVID and stuff like that happened, so it didn't really go through. But amongst people, I'm known as the guy where it's like, if you don't understand something with politics, call and ask Bill or call Bill. Bill probably has a pretty good breakdown for it. So yeah, I would say that and wrestling, one of the two things. And being a funny guy.
Right. Now, this is probably a silly question, but when you said professional wrestling, are you talking about like WCW or like?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm talking like Hulk. I'm talking about Hulk Hogan shirts, brother.
Right.
I'm talking about yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That was pretty good at it.
Yeah. Well, I was a huge wrestling fan. You know, Ric Flair, and I'm probably giving my age away, but
Well, yeah. I never grew up, so.
Oh, okay.
In terms of wrestling, I should say. In terms of wrestling.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see here. What quality do you value most in your friends?
A spine. Not being afraid, never backing down. People that will always stand on their values, whether people agree with them or not. Even if I don't agree with someone's values, someone actually putting their foot down and standing for what's true or what's right, at least to them, it's a tremendous quality that I respect. One thing that I absolutely cannot tolerate, it's a huge pet peeve of mine, is people with no spine, people that fold, people that crumble, people that have no conviction or direction for what they want to do with their lives. I absolutely cannot have those kinds of people in my circle, because those are the type of people that, like where I live, I'm from Paterson, right? In Paterson, New Jersey. It's one of those places where if you can't trust somebody, for someone to actually have your back, people unfortunately die for this kind of stuff. And so those are the kind of people that I can't tolerate. I can't be around those people. It's either if you support me, if you believe in me, if you want to do if you want to do what you say you believe in, I expect people to 100% follow through with what they believe in, and I'll back people up all the way until the end. If it's your right, it's your belief. That's one of the hugest qualities for me. Is someone who's never afraid to stand on their own 2 feet.
Okay, and that's a great quality to have. You were breaking up a little bit there, but I got most of what you said. But yeah, that's a great quality to have. So which one of these do you prefer, big party or small gathering?
It depends. It really depends. Funny thing. I'm kind of extroverted, but I'm really an introvert at heart. I like being by myself. I like being really cool. But if I'm out and about, if the vibe is right, I'm going to be all over the place. So I think it really depends on the situation.
Okay. All right. All right. If you have to choose one or the other, which one would it be? Send the kids back to school with mask mandate, or send the children back to school without a mask mandate in the
Without a
fall?
mask, without a mask, 100%. And it's funny that you mentioned this because on my way to Tampa today, I was talking with a guy sitting next to me. We're having a really good conversation, and we're talking about the whole mask situation we got going on in New Jersey. And I said, to me, it doesn't make any sense. And the kids are pretty much indestructible. These kids get all kinds of sicknesses, viruses. These kids fall down steps. They figure out a way to make it through. These kids have very strong immune systems. And based on the statistics, right? Because, Dr. Fauci likes to say, hey, you got to go based on the science. Well, the science is telling us that these pretty much indestructible children are not catching COVID like the adults are. They're not really susceptible to like the rest of us. And these kids are doing well. I think to try and force children to put on a mask and wear a mask and treat them like they're cattle, these kids can't breathe. They can't live their lives. They can't even enjoy the fun that they're supposed to be having as children. I'm not with that. 100% not with that. If a school is forcing your children to wear masks, in my opinion, it's better. You're better off homeschooling your kids. They had us homeschooling our kids anyway at this point. Mm-hmm. So if the public school system and the government is telling you to go and do that, you might as well say, hey, listen, let me bite the bullet and teach my kids myself, teach them the true way, because they're probably going to teach them CRT madness anyway in school.
All right. And favorite place to eat in New Jersey?
That's hard. My favorite place.
You had to pick one place.
I would say two places. Terminus Pizza in Paterson and Duffy's Tavern. I like the burgers. Duffy's Tavern in Paterson, which is funny because the place who owns Duffy's, a Passaic County freeholder, Democrat guy, doesn't operate like a Democrat in any way, shape, or form. I wish the guy would set parties, but those are my two favorite places to go and eat.
Okay. All right. Well, that concludes our round of quick random questions. So what I'd like to do now is just get into what the bulk of our conversation generally is. Can you talk about your journey, your conservative journey, or your Republican journey? Did you grow up in a Republican family, or when did you decide to be a Republican?
So my parents came to the United States in 1983, I believe it was. They came in the very early 80s, but I believe it was 1983. My parents came to the United States, and when they were in this country, they were just happy to be here. They immigrated from Ghana, West Africa. They came here legally, by the way. They didn't have to fence or do anything savage, right? They went through the process. They waited several years. My parents were living in England. Well, they were living in Ghana, moved to England. England wasn't doing too good. Then they came to America, mainly because of Ronald Reagan and the economy that was going on. Like England just was not, you couldn't compare, So my parents came to the United States, and we've lived here ever since. I was born in the United States, and my parents weren't Republican or Democrat, honestly. Like, in all honesty, my parents didn't care much for politics. My mom is very, very religious. The only person she votes for is Christ, and that's it. Last year, however, though, she voted for me. She voted for Donald Trump, which is fantastic.
Oh.
But yeah, it was the first time in her entire life she actually casted a vote in the United States. But
wow.
They never followed politics, but we were raised in a family that was very pro-America, especially my father. Like my parents, they speak Tree. That's a language that they speak in West Africa, in Ghana. And I understand the language. I can't properly speak it, but if someone spoke to me, I understand what you're saying. But my father wanted us to learn English, wanted us to speak English, wanted us to be Americans. And that's what we grew up to be. And I'm very thankful that he did that, although I do wish I understood my language a lot more. But my whole week, I grew up thinking that I was a Democrat because, I grew up in an inner city. I grew up in an area where everybody you know of is a Democrat. All the politicians are Democrat. All the signs and everything you see are Democrat. And I thought that was the thing. Barack Obama became the nominee. And at that time, I was very gung-ho Barack Obama, big time fan. This guy's going to be the one, black person, hoping change, all that stuff. And I got behind Barack Obama, and it wasn't one of the main reasons, but it was definitely one of the reasons that led to me joining the Air Force. Being happy to be in this country. My parents gave me a great opportunity. Unfortunately, around this time, my father passed away as well too. So, and I didn't really see like I was getting the prospects necessary in college. Like while I'm trying to learn about business, they're teaching me about gender and all this madness that has nothing to do with starting a business. So I wanted to leave that and join the military instead. And while I thought things were good, Barack Obama in 2010 started to bomb Libya, started dropping bombs in Libya, and it completely violated everything that I thought the America stood for. We're supposed to have freedom and peace in our Constitution, yet here we are in the Middle East dropping bombs on a country that is absolutely not a threat to the United States. There was no declaration of war. We didn't go to Congress. Congress is in recess when this happened. Barack Obama utilized NATO and the UN forces to go and use our troops to go and bomb this country. I have family that lived in Libya and said, yeah, while Gaddafi may not have been the nicest guy in the world, they had the highest standard of living in Africa. Now, since that place has been bombed, ISIS has grown. Al-Nusra, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, all these groups came together, and then they created ISIS, and now they're moving all up and down the Middle East until Trump came and wiped them out in under 2 years. See, so while all this stuff was happening in Libya, I felt that my place in the military wasn't correct. I didn't feel that I was standing for the things that I supported. I came in because I wanted to fight for our country. I wanted to defend our Constitution. I didn't want to go and drop bombs and steal oil, essentially, because that's what we did. I didn't want to create terrorists and say that we're doing virtuous things on the television, because that's what the United States did. And I decided that I no longer wanted to be a part of this. So I stopped following the orders, because I believe the orders that we were giving were completely unconstitutional. There's some people that think that I'm wrong for that. Oh, you should obey your orders because you're in the military. Yeah, that's true. But I also swore an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to obey lawful orders by the president. Right? Now, some people can say this is lawful. To me, going out and bombing a foreign country that has nothing to do with our sovereignty, we had no reason to be in Libya. Okay, and if we didn't kill these people, we didn't drop those bombs, ISIS wouldn't have existed. So I still feel 100% satisfied in my decision to disobey those orders and return to the United States instead of supporting those missions.
Well, let me ask you this before you begin, because some people don't realize aren't familiar with it or with what happened there. And can you explain what President Obama at the time said why they were going into Libya?
So Barack Obama said that we were going to Libya. This is very important, especially for the Black people that are watching this right now, right? And this is a guy that was big time Barack Obama, hope and change, all this stuff. This guy went into the closest thing to a first world nation in Africa, Libya, dropped bombs in this area, completely decimated the country, bombed the farmlands, bombed the bridges, bombed the hospitals. On base, you can only get CNN and AFN, the Armed Forces Networks, two propaganda wings, essentially, you can get on base. And they were talking about how Barack Obama instilled a humanitarian no-fly zone. That's what they called it. They didn't call it a bombing mission. That's what it was. Humanitarian no-fly zone. And the basis for this was Gaddafi's using his Air Force to bomb his people, which necessarily isn't true. He was using his Air Force to bomb these rebels, Boko Haram, Al-Nusra, all these guys who weren't ISIS at the time, but they eventually became ISIS. He's dropping bombs on these rebels. And Barack Obama told the media, or the media told us, that this humanitarian no-fly zone is going to protect Libyan people, it's going to prevent Gaddafi from dropping the bombs and all this madness. None of it was true.
All right. Yep. I just wanted to make that clarification. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so you were saying this was kind of the catalyst. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is one of the huge catalysts that happened. So when I came back to the United States, you got Occupy Wall Street going on. There's people out in Zuccotti Park protesting Goldman Sachs and the big banks and the quote unquote 1%. And I really got sucked into a lot of that stuff. When I came back, I started working at JFK Airport. I was doing the exact same thing that I was doing in the Air Force. I was doing aerospace ground equipment mechanics. Did the same thing there. And it was close to impossible to afford a lot of this stuff in New York, by the way. New Jersey and New York. New Jersey is expensive already. New York, forget about it. It's a whole different ballgame. But after being in this area, I encountered a guy, right? My roommate at the time, Nick. I almost became a socialist. You're going to love this story. Yes, you would never believe it. But I almost became a full-on brainwashed, completely... I'm not going to go that route, but I almost became a socialist. But so this guy, Nick, he's my roommate. And the first time I walked into his apartment, right, he's got all this stuff from, Albania and Sarajevo and all this, either Eastern European, paraphernalia, not paraphernalia, but like, memorabilia, I should say, hanging on the wall. And he's got the hugest socialist flag I've ever seen in my life. It's like, probably like 150 feet. This the huge flag hanging on his wall. And I remember being super intrigued by it. Like, whoa, this guy's a communist. bro, he's a socialist. Because, like, you don't know about this stuff. You always think it's like the edgy thing you shouldn't be touching. You know what I mean? And I'm digging through his books. I'm looking through all the stuff. These guys got books from Lenin, Trotsky, Marx, all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa, socialism.
Yeah.
So the first time that I meet him, I'm digging through his stuff, and he comes into the apartment, and he's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? I'm Nick. Welcome to the place. Blah 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 blah." Like, "Oh, bro, are you a socialist? Like, you like socialism?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. Like, tell me socialism." It's kind of like when you're a kid, and like you ever seen like in those movies where like the young innocent kid like tries drugs for the first time. He shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean? You're kind of like, socialism. I've never tried that drug before. Like, give me some socialism. I'll try that. So I'm like really listening to what this guy's saying, and like he's a very educated guy. Very, very smart, very articulate. He's breaking a lot of things down. A lot of this stuff starts to make sense. And after about a month or two of living with Nick, and I'm telling him that, like, I'm pro-America and all this stuff, but like I still don't know. At this point, I'm disenfranchised because of Barack Obama and what happened. So I don't know if I'm a Democrat or if I'm what. At the time, I kind of was like, yeah, I'm never going Republican ever. And this guy Nick invites.
Well, let me ask you this before you. So was he like anti-America? Was he like
no? He wasn't anti-America at all. But he was very critical. He was very critical of America's involvement in foreign countries and foreign affairs and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we resonated. Because I was totally against that, but he wasn't like anti-America at all. In fact, he was actually quite proud to be an American. He was happy, which was ironic. It's ironic, but no, he actually liked this country. He just wanted socialism in this country, which is
I got you.
So a couple months after living with Nick, he invites me to this cathedral in Manhattan. There's about maybe 300, maybe 400 people inside of this place. Right? Huge rally. It's like some security union or something in New York, and they're doing this, and they're talking about. Everything sounded great, Rent is way too high in New York. Yes, I totally agree. We got to reduce the rent. Yes, college is too expensive. We got to. Yes, the taxes. We got to tax the rich. Yeah, man. I love this. I could be a socialist, yeah, for sure. Like I think all this, like, we're oppressed, we're being held down. This is stuff, right? But I kid you not. Had it not been for this girl sitting next to me, like this lady, if anything, was a cat. Well, girl, she's probably like maybe 19, 21 at the time. That was a catalyst that really made me start thinking. I'm listening to all this guy on the roof, and the guy up there is very charismatic. Like, we got, Goldman Sachs, and so great stuff. I turned to the left of this girl. I'm like, yo, this is awesome. I'm like, yeah, socialism. How do we pay for this stuff? Like, what's the plan? At this point, I kind of have an idea of, how the economy works. I've already, dealt with the military and seen this stuff. So I'm like, so how do we pay for this stuff? I kid you not. This girl turns to me and is like, what do you mean, how do we pay for this? We have to tax the rich. We have to eat the rich. They're the ones taking all the money. We have to kill them and take their money and bring it back to the people. We have to eat the rich. And she was so serious. So serious.
Like, eat them? She said, eat the rich?
Like, she was dead serious. Like manjas, like, eat the burger. Like, this girl wanted to, And I'm looking at her and I'm like, what on earth? Like, I didn't know what to make of myself because I'm like, so I go back home. Actually, no, before I go back home, I started speaking with a couple of other people that were there, like, how to do this? And the whole solution, the whole answer to all of them was, we have to tax the rich, tax the 1%, tax them up to 90%, 80%, they're too rich. And I remember thinking, like, 90%, what if I get rich? That's the only thing that was going through my mind. Like, what if I get rich? If I get rich and I become a multimillionaire, you want 90% of what I worked for? And worse come to worse, you guys want to eat me? I was like, I'm done. So I go home, I get on the computer, and I start looking up Ron Paul. The only reason why I looked up Ron Paul is because before I went into the Air Force, one of my friends, Dan Avery, really good friend of mine back in the day, he asked me who I was going to vote for before I went into the Air Force. I'm telling him, Barack Obama, this is the guy who I'm going for. And he says, no, you got to choose Ron Paul. Ron Paul is the guy. He's this, he's that. And he's showing me videos of this old white guy. And I'm thinking, he's a racist. He's a Republican. I didn't want to hear it. I'm just like, close-minded, But then I go home that night, and I could have just stopped thinking about the image of this lady, pierced nose, short blonde hair, curved to the side, a little bit overweight, what I'm saying? Tattoos all over the place, like just full on what you think in your mind when you think like communist, like this is exactly what this person was. And I just couldn't get the idea. I'm like, this woman said, eat the rich, bro, eat the rich. So I go on, and I go on Google, and I type in Ron Paul, because I'm like, yo, your friend was talking about Ron Paul. Like, maybe you should just hear him out. right? I go on Google, I type it in, and like maybe the first 2 or 3 videos I'm watching, Ron Paul, if you've ever watched his videos, he's very small, old man, very quiet, Hey, and the Federal Reserve, the Fractional Reserve Bank, and I'm like, he's talking about these big words and stuff, and I'm like, this guy's kind of boring, but like I decided to stomach it because I'm thinking, if these guys at this rally are saying they're Democrats, some of them were also saying they're full-on communists. Some of them were saying they're full-on socialists, more socialists than Democrats, more socialists and communists than Democrats. The scary thing is, there was about 400 of them in a room in New York. It's probably way more now. But I'm looking at Ron Paul, I'm hearing what he says. I'm like, a lot of what he's talking about makes a lot of sense. And this is after like maybe like an hour or two of just kind of like just binging Ron Paul's videos. And then he starts talking about the Federal Reserve, and oh boy, did that wake me up. He starts talking about the Fractional Reserve Bank and how all the money that's printed is fiat and it's inflation, and everything that we do, there's nothing we can do to actually, gain wealth in this country by just printing money. He talks about the petrodollar and how the petrodollar is tied to Saudi Arabia and how that's used. The reason why we go to war to collect the oil is because it's the oil that backs up our dollar. And I'm like, this is what's been happening all these years? Are you kidding me? And then I started to do my research outside of Ron Paul, and I started looking at OPEC and looking at the fractional reserve and what does fiat even mean. Fiat basically means like it has zero value. It's backed in nothing. It's just paper. They print it and poof, there's no value. It only has value because they tell you it has value. And when I started to look into this, I'm like, this guy. Like, I started thinking, like, am I a Republican? Like this because
no.
Yes, because I'm like everything this guy is saying makes absolute sense. And I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. So I started telling my friends, like, yo, bro, you got to check out this guy, Ron Paul. And I'm trying to tell him, Ron Paul. And I'm like, oh, Bill, this guy's, he's freaking, nobody wanted to hear it, And from then on, I kind of just started digging more deeper into conservative politics. And by conservatives, I would say more so libertarian, because I don't really agree with the Mitt Romneys of the world. Because when you look up Republican stuff, it's typically those kinds of guys. Donald Trump, on the other hand, him getting involved in politics, for one, should have never happened, but it did. And the good thing about it happening was it totally inspired me to get involved into politics. I went to the Wildwood rally he did in February in 2020. It was the first time ever I've been to a political rally, and my mind was completely blown. I wasn't even going to go to this event at first. I was going to go with one of my friends. He backed out at last minute. He told me, hey, you need to go with Dr. Castillo, a guy in Paterson, very well known, doctor for many, many years. I didn't know he was a Republican, but you got to go with him. He's going down there. He'll give you a ride, right? So I ride down there with him in the Republican Hispanic Assembly, and I'm listening to what they're saying. They're speaking Spanish. I understand Spanish. Can't speak it too well, but they're kind of just like, oh, I've never met this guy before, but he seems pretty cool. He's got a Trump hat, so I guess he's with us. And they're right. They don't know I understand what they're saying, but I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess we're going down. So I say nothing, the whole entire time. But while I'm there, I am completely in awe. Like the weather was like probably 19, maybe 18 degrees. It was freezing. It was cold. We're right near the river. Right near the ocean. Like right at the Jersey Shore, Wildwood, New Jersey. It's freezing out here. We got hundreds of thousands of people. Like first off, up until this point, I've never seen so many people congregating in one place, let alone for one person. Like the line was like 6 blocks long. It was the whole park. Overflow. There was like an overflow inside the park. Half of the park was completely full with people waiting in line just to get into this building. And I'm just like, you mean to tell me Donald Trump, ultra conservative guy, this is the guy who pulled this off in New Jersey, ultra blue. He pulled this off? You kidding me? And it completely changed my perspective. I spoke with a couple of people, told them a little bit about my political thoughts and opinions. And eventually the president ended up retweeting a video that Kayleigh McEnany recorded of me. I didn't know it was Kayleigh McEnany at the time. At the time, she wasn't the press secretary. But that video went super viral. And while we were at this event, Dr. Castillo was watching me the whole time. I didn't peep it, but looking back at it, people said, Bill, I've been watching you. I've been quiet the whole time. And I've been watching you talk to people. I've been watching you go on camera. I've been hearing you and listening to what you're saying. He's like, bro, I think you're the perfect candidate to run for Congress in the 9th district. And at this point, I'm like, whoa, no, I'm just on the 4th ward. I live in the hood, bro. Like, I'm not, like a suit and tie guy. Like, look at my hair, bro. Like, I can't. And he's like, bro, your hair, I think that's even more of a reason why you should run, bro. Like, you actually represent what is going on in the 9th district. You see things that many people don't actually see. And he saw something in me that I didn't. And he's like, you should get involved. If you do get involved in politics, I'll help you in every way that you can. I'll guide you. I'll mentor you. I'll teach you whatever you know. And I thought about it for maybe a week. And, he would call me every day. Bill, you're serious, right? You trying to do this? You trying to do this? You trying to do this? And I'm like, all right, all right. When I finally decided to get involved, I start looking into the politics and seeing what's happening here. And there's a guy named Bill Pascrell. This was going to be my opponent. Dr. Castillo ran against him before in 2016, and Dr. Castillo broke a record. He got the most votes for any Republican in the 9th District when he ran. And he's like, Billy, I know this man can bleed. Even though he's in bleed, I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about like metaphorically. This guy has been in politics for well over 40, maybe almost 50 years, right? He's been in complete control of the city of Paterson. The reason why gun crime is going up right now, currently, actually last year, violence in our city was up 60%. Right now, it's only 6 months in, it's up 72%. We just surpassed our 112th shooting last week. This year, in the past 7 months, I've already lost 3 people. 2 of my neighbors have been killed, and one of my friends from high school got shot in the head. Somebody pulled up, came out of the car, put a bullet right in his head. The police departments are understaffed, over 170 police officers, not getting the money or the funding that they need. Yet Bill Pascrell is giving all of his attention to the fire department, which is cool because a lot of houses burn in our city. But ironically, when houses burn down, developers buy up that land, they'll knock down a single family, make it into a multifamily that nobody can afford, except for the people from New York who are coming into our city, gentrifying us and pushing us out. Because he can't afford this kind of stuff. Governor Cuomo, he completely destroyed New York City. These people don't want to be a part of that. So they come to places like Paterson. And we got to deal with that. Bill Pascrell doesn't care about what's going on with the people. He claims to support Black Lives Matter. He says that Black Lives Matter so much to him. Yet all the policies that he's doing, all the things that he supports, completely harm our city. He believes, he believed in H.R. 1. Well, he was a co-sponsor of H.R. 1. He believes that African Americans are too stupid to get ID and that we should be able to vote one time with no ID. I've seen with my own eyes illegal immigrants come in and vote. Just say, oh, I'm, Rob Smith or whoever, right? They don't check your ID. There's no way they can verify it. Okay, just sign in this little box and say that you're him, right? And then people go in and vote, right? Total rigged election. Now, here's the thing, though. Despite all this, I ran a race. We did 7 months last year. In that 7-month period that we ran, we broke Dr. Castillo's record by an additional 33,253 votes. So I officially have the most votes that any Republican has ever made in the past 30 years in the 9th District by a significant amount as well, too. This was also in the middle of COVID with no support from any of the county parties, no support from the state party, none of these people. We were able to make tremendous strides. And a lot of the people that came and shifted over to our side were unaffiliated. Unaffiliated voters are the ones who came and voted for me this go around. Now, my current opponent, he's not doing too well health-wise. He's 84 years old.
84?
Oh, yeah. The rabbit hole goes deep, my friend. This person is 84 years old. He's been in politics for well over 40 years. He started on the Board of Education at Paterson. Then he became a state assemblyman. Then he became the mayor of Paterson until 1997. From 1997 up until now, he's been the congressman. This guy reads from a script. He will never have a full-on dialogue with you. He hides everywhere he can. He only comes up for photo ops. So out here, I created the term Basement Bill. His name is Bill Pascrell. So we call him Basement Bill because he doesn't come out, he doesn't want to talk. He just likes to hide and talks rhetoric. He has a team of people managing his social media and his Twitter account. And every single tweet is either about January 6th or President Trump. Literally nothing about the 9th District. He doesn't say anything about the gun violence. He says nothing about the high taxes. He says nothing about the absolutely abysmal education we have in our area. He says nothing about career growth and career opportunities or even bringing career opportunities to the district. He says nothing about this kind of stuff. He's only focused on himself. He's only focused on maintaining that position. And he's got a son who I believe is a full definition of systemic political corruption. When people talk about systemic racism, I think it's nonsense. What we do have is systemic political corruption. This guy's been in here 24 years. His son is a multi-millionaire, right? Because of lobbying. His son's a lobbyist, big-time lobbyist. So his son goes out, lobbies on behalf of his father, brings millions of dollars to the family, and my opponent is the 64th richest person in Congress. Just 435 people. 435 people in Congress at any given time. He's number 64 of the richest in Congress. All right. How do you get that rich with 40 years in politics? What were you doing? What exactly could you possibly been doing? Right. So he's got our city in a stranglehold. He's got my city in a stranglehold. Paterson makes up 35% of the vote in my district. There's 37 cities in my district, Paterson being the largest. We're both from Paterson. You don't see this guy in Paterson. You don't see this guy ever in Paterson. This guy's in D.C. all the time, living in some penthouse while saying he represents us, while collecting millions of dollars off of his son, making millions of dollars for himself while the district falls apart. And then he has the absolute audacity to come out and say that Black Lives Matter. He doesn't care about Black lives. If Black Lives Matter to him, you'd be funding our police. You'd be keeping our communities safe. You'd be putting pressure on our mayor who's talking negatively about our police. You'd be putting pressure on the people that are bringing guns and drugs into our community illegally and making things worse. You'd be putting pressure that way. But he doesn't do that. They want the crime to stay high so that we move out. The developers come in, they buy up our community, they push us out, and now we have nowhere to go. We either go down south or somewhere else. And this is what they want. I'm not going to sit for that. I've lived in the city my whole life.
Let me ask you one thing, if we could back up just a moment. What was the moment? Because I know you're passionate about, you had this awakening about politics as far as, Republican Party, and you looked at all different types of different ideologies, and then so you're conservative, you're a Republican. What was the moment to make you decide to run, though? What was it that you were like, you know what, I gotta do this?
It was the conversation I had with Dr. Castillo at the Trump rally. We spoke for about a good 40 minutes to an hour. He was breaking it all down. He broke down the numbers, the percentages. This many people in our district. This is how many people voted last year. This is how many people I got. How many people you got. This is how many people that are unaffiliated. Here's the magic number that really got me to say that it's not true. All right. A lot of what, for example, in my district, there's three counties: Passaic, Bergen, Hudson County. Right. They all believe Paterson is not going to be able to be beaten. They're all Republican chair people, right? These guys aren't Republican. They're 100% rhinos. I don't care what anybody says. Come and sue me. These people are 100% rhinos. They don't want to win. They don't care about winning. They run weaklings. And I've heard from many police officers, and police officers are like my biggest supporters right now, many officers who are very close to these people, who they have told personally that the only reason why they ran me is because they were expecting me to lose, right?
What?
They don't want they don't want Paterson to lose. For example, in Passaic County, the chairman of Passaic County, he's the godfather of my opponent's son's youngest child. The one that's a lobbyist, Bill Paterson III, the Republican chairman of Passaic County is the godfather of his youngest child. Bill Paterson routinely drinks at his bar and hangs out. They're good friends. He told me to my face last year that, listen, Bill, we're not going to back you. It's not that we support Bill Paterson. We're just not going to back you. I don't see you winning this race right now, but what I think you should do is you should focus on trying to help build the Republican Party in Paterson. Basically, he wanted to be underneath his boot. Build the party for us. We're not going to back you, and help us get more control in Paterson. And you're not going to get it, right? Random black dude from the 4th Ward, the most dangerous ward in all of Paterson right now. Guy with dreadlocks, he's not going to make it. Of course, run him. Little did they know that I was dead serious about actually winning this race. Little did they know that I was dead serious about changing the violence and the corruption going on in our community. Little did they know I had absolutely no fear and no reason to ever back down. Even in this race right now in 2022, they're telling me, the Bergen County chairman, State County chairman, they're telling me, stay out of this race. Hey, man, we think you should drop out. We love what you're doing. You got great talent. You got so much talent. You can help really build a party in our district. But, I don't think you can afford another loss. I think you should go back to Paterson and focus on running in the council race. You should run for council, because I don't think Congress is for you, right? So I tell the Bergen County chairman, I said, listen, you said that I can't do. Okay, I understand. Who do you have that's willing to run in the 9th district the way that I ran? Who do you have that's willing to go to Paterson, that's willing to go into all the wards and talk to the people on behalf of Republicans? Trump had it all, right? Other than me. If you have somebody better than me or someone that's willing to do it, I'll gladly step out of the race. Do you have anybody? Well, no, we don't have anybody right now, Billy. But I don't think you should run, because I think your talent can be better used this way. I said, well, listen.
Well, wait a minute. I don't understand. So the Castillo guy, that's the Democrat, right?
No. Dr. Castillo's a Republican. Dr. Castillo's a Republican that got me involved in running.
No, but I'm sorry. The man who has a son that's a lobbyist.
That's the girl. Yes, his son, Bill Paterson III, is the lobbyist. Yes. So he's the incumbent.
The old man is a Democrat.
Yes, they're both Democrats. Correct.
And so the Republican Party is trying to say you should bow out and let the Democrat win?
Yes. So I'll tell you why. This is just, and I have no facts to back this up, but this is my personal opinion. All right. And from what I've gathered, right, we got the Bergen County chairman. This guy's got lots of deals, insurance deals, some of them in Paterson. As a Republican, to get some of those deals in Paterson, I wonder who helped facilitate those deals. I'm just going to leave that there on the table, right? Passaic County Chairman, I respect him, honestly. I actually respect him because he at least had the ability to tell me what it was off the bat. Like, hey, listen, we're not backing you, bro. I respect that. Don't beat around the bush and tell me, oh, you're for me, but at the end of the day, you're not for me, because I know it has something to do with what's in your pockets and whatnot, right? Don't tell me that kind of nonsense. So when I heard these kind of things and they didn't have anybody to run against them, I said, listen, I'm already $15,000 into the game, right? I've been on Fox News multiple times. I met President Trump last week. Like, I'm doing quite a bit. Unless somebody's willing to do what I do, I'm not backing down. No. If you guys want to primary me, I'm going to, and I'm not being cocky here. If they primary me with any kind of Republican, I'm going to not only completely obliterate them, but they better come with a lot of resources and a lot of determination and a lot of passion like I've got, because I don't see a single Republican ever that's willing to go into the 9th district. I speak to some of these leaders and they say, oh, nobody cares about the 9th district. Like, it's unwinnable. Nobody's going to go in there, right? But this is the year they want me to drop out, because this year redistricting is happening. The 9th district will get better. Bill Pascrell's 84. He'll be 86 by the time his term is over. He's had multiple surgeries on his heart. His health is failing. Everybody that could have possibly replaced him is suddenly getting sick and falling apart. The mayor of my city is possibly the next person that's going to replace Bill Pascrell, and he's an absolute horror show. This guy tried to shut down the cleanup. I tried to do it for Passaic County River, try to clean up the river, try to pull out all kinds of trash. The mayor tried to shut me down because he wanted to look good on the cameras for some kind of group that he was setting up. So I see the madness that's happening here. The guy could actually be.
Let me ask you this then, because when you mentioned your area, Paterson, and it sounds like a lot of areas where I live here in Baltimore, and a lot of areas that are poverty stricken and high crime. What do you say to people? Because I don't know about where you are in Paterson, but here, areas like that here, they generally vote Democrat. Mm-hmm. It's just automatic. They vote Democrat all the way down the line. What do you say to those people to get them to move past the R in front of your name and vote for you?
So there's two things. And my race is quite unique. And I think that some people see this. And I think that's also why they're like, hey, Billy needs to step out of the race. For one, a lot of people in my district, for example, at least from what I've noticed and the people that I speak with, and I focus a lot of my time, I'm not going to lie, in Paterson. The reason why is because we have 36 small cities, and then we have Paterson, the large city, that makes up 35% of the vote. And, these chair people say, oh, you focus all your time on Paterson. You should focus on the little tiny outskirt areas with, the biggest problem in some of these cities is there's a crack in the road. You know what I mean? That no one's fixed in like a week. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, bro, people's neighbors are dying every single day in my city. Every single day. All right. You turn that out, someone's been shot every day, 100%. Guarantee I could put money on it. Someone's been shot every single day. And they're telling me to focus elsewhere rather than trying to actually do what's best here. So I focus a lot of this energy here. And the reason why is because if you look at the numbers, and I would give this advice to anybody that's looking to run, look at the numbers and see what's actually happening here. There's about 300,000 people in the 9th district, right? Dr. Castillo got 65,000 votes, right, which is a huge record last year that he broke, right? I got 98,328 votes. So we brought an additional 33,000 plus voters to the side. And what I've seen is historically, the Republican Party has always gone at a maximum of about 57,000 votes on average, right? Seeing that he was able to do that, Dr. Castillo said, Billy, don't focus on the Republicans in this race. The Republicans are going to vote 100%. And here's why. There's 69,362 registered Republicans in our district. There's about 202,000 plus Democrats, but there's 179,380 registered unaffiliated voters. So there's more unaffiliated voters than there are registered Republicans. And the Republican Party is telling me you can't win this race because there's no Republicans. That's not true at all. Not true at all. The truth is the Republican Party is not doing outreach. They're not knocking on doors. They're not talking to people. They're not trying to convert. And like I told you, systemic political corruption. A lot of these people have a lot of benefit with what happens in Paterson. So Paterson is being used and abused by all these outskirt cities, right? The homeless population, the drugged up population, they come into Paterson and live off of it, right? Money comes out of the city, nothing comes into the city. And they want to keep it this way. They have no intention of changing it. Until a guy like me comes in and starts talking about what is actually happening here. Bill, you should step out of the race. Yeah, you should totally step out of the race. Give me a valid reason why. We just think that your talent's better useful. Listen, in 2020, you guys were gung-ho Billy, right? Because it's a presidential year, gung-ho Billy. No backing, no money, no support, no nothing, right? 2022, I'm making very significant, way larger strides than I did in 2020, right? No COVID, no nothing. Yet you want me to step out of this race and basically leave a vacancy. They would rather a vacancy than Billy run against this guy. You have to really question yourself. Do these people really want to win? Why would I go back to Paterson and run in council? The mayor of Paterson doesn't even listen to the council, right? I could run in council and someone has a political gun to the head of these people in council because they won't say or do what needs to be done to actually fix a city. Even as mayor, even if I ran and I won as mayor, I still have to deal with Pascal. If I need help from the federal government, I have to deal with Bill Pascal, right? He sends money to the city in black holes and nobody knows, right? So you want me to go into you want me to stop from a federal race and go to a local race where I'll 138% be under the boot of Bill Pascal and never be able to grow, knowing that the party will never help me, and you want me to step out of this congressional race. You got to ask yourself, what does that really tell you about the Republican Party? Do you really want to win, or are you guys in cahoots trying to roll with these guys to keep your own agenda flowing, right? You know, I see this kind of stuff, but it's the same thing that happened to Kim. Kim Clay said she ran in Baltimore not too long ago. The Republican Party didn't really back her, didn't really want to help her. The second she starts making national news, hey, Kim, let's work together, you know, because you could donate $20,000 to our committee and we could help you, even though we didn't help you at all. Same thing's happening now, right? And the truth is, these people are a part of the problem, right? If we want to win in New Jersey, if we want to win across the country, we have to completely oust a lot of these rhinos. By rhinos, it's such a watered down word. To me, a rhino is someone who claims to be a Republican, yet you do things that are at the detriment of the party. They'll call me a rhino because I call them out for the madness that they're doing. It's, oh, Billy's a rhino. He doesn't really support the party. Billy's always talking bad about the party on interviews. No. You guys actively try and sabotage me. You guys actively spread rumors. You guys actively try to make all kinds of things up to make me look like a bad person, and I'm legitimately fighting for my community. Because the Republican Party is so weak, people are dying in my city. Because there's no leadership. There's no one countering the madness, all right? You guys have police department.
And the Republican Party is not very visual. It's not vocal, or it's not
the Republican Party. The Republican Party in New Jersey is an absolute joke. It is a joke. All right. They don't care to win. You see, they focus on a lot of these outskirt races, these very small cities, and they do win. Don't get me wrong, but the larger, real battlefield races, they don't fight those races. Like me as a military guy, I understand that if you want to win, right, and I'm not saying that the Democrats are our enemy, but if you want to win against the enemy, you have to fight some of the big fights. Sure, you can win the small skirmishes, but if there's a large stronghold that the enemy has, you're going to be fighting these small skirmishes on the outskirts forever. Because eventually what's going to happen is if you don't focus on that large fight that needs to be fight, that area, not only will they gain more ground and get stronger, but you're given the ability to rebuild and build a strong defense while you're focusing on the small skirmishes.
Let me ask you something here. So you have, like you mentioned, the Republican Party, and I think it's sort of like what is similar to here, where some Republicans don't believe the city is worth fighting for, because a lot of the cities, these areas, urban centers, predominantly vote Democrat. They just do. They just vote Democrat. How are you changing this? Like, why would someone who automatically votes Democrat, why would they vote for you as a Republican this time?
Well, I'll tell them this, and this is the thing. Like with me, converting someone from Democrat to Republican, at least for me, I don't know if it's because of the way I talk or what, but it's extremely easy for me to do this. And the reason why I believe that it's very simple to do this is because a lot of people I'm from Piscataway. Hey, I got an uncle in Piscataway. Oh, wow. If you know, he probably knows my uncle. I see somebody talking about,
he says, wow, just jump on. The first thing I noticed is your name. Are you Prempeh Bonsu? Bonsu?
No. My name's William Kwaku Sribo Prempeh. The second is my full name.
Okay.
But I have an uncle that does live in Piscataway, so that's why I'm like, wait a minute, is my uncle on here? That's really interesting.
Okay.
But no, his last name's not Bonsu though.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, we went a little bit off topic.
So you were saying, how do you convince even unaffiliated or Democrats to vote for a Republican? People who have always voted.
So here's the thing that's kind of funny is like in my district, when I come and I knock doors, right, especially in the larger cities. First off, I want to address the question you asked before I move into the next one is any Republican that's telling you that we shouldn't focus on cities or these cities are unwinnable, they need to get out of the party. All right, you might as well be a Democrat. And that's the way that I look at you. All right, you can't tell me that we got to save this country and we got to flip more people red and then tell people at the same time we can't waste time in the inner cities. In my district, if you look at a district map of New Jersey, look at where District 9 is located and see in 2016, right? District 5, District 11, District 7, 3 districts that surround District 9, where I am, were traditionally, for many, many years, Republican, hardcore Republican districts. About 6 years ago, they flipped blue. 6 to 8 years ago, they flipped blue. And they're only getting bluer, right? How did this happen? How could this have possibly happened? Because you didn't want to focus on the district that's right dead in the center, District 9, right? You didn't want to do any of the fights. So when people's financial lifestyle starts to get better, you don't want to stay in the ninth. You don't want to stay next to New York. You don't want to stay in the inner cities. I'm going to move to Bergen County where there's money, where there's nice houses, there's nice areas. I'm going to move it to Sussex. I'm going to move it to Warren. And I'm going to bring all those liberal ideas with me, right? Because you didn't want to fight the main fight. You treated the symptoms, but you didn't deal with the cancer, right? And the cancer is right smack dab in the center. You allow these people to create a powerhouse, a machine that is dang near unbeatable. And now they're spreading out. And you're telling me you want to focus on the outskirts? If you want to be a Republican, it doesn't matter how hard the district is. It doesn't matter how much money needs to go into it. You have to fight, period. If you don't want to fight, you have no reason to complain. Right now, they're scratching their heads. How do we flip this district back to red? Well, at the end of the year, they're going to redraw the district lines. I believe that District 9 is going to get a lot redder because District 9 can't get any bluer. All the most bluest cities are in my district, right? So we're at D13. And I still did quite well. District 7, 11, and 5, they're going to want to keep those districts blue. And these are traditionally Republican areas. So what do you think is going to happen? I mean, common sense, a lot of the cities that are in my district and in District 8, Hudson County, a lot of the very blue areas, they're going to ship some of those areas into these 3 districts and try and keep them blue. Well, of course, that's going to make my district redder, right? My opponent, we're in the middle of a midterm election. No President Trump, no Biden, so there's no handicap. It's literally you and me, mano a mano in the woods by ourselves. We're going to have to rumble, all right? He's 84 years old. He can't rumble. He can have all the money in the world. He spent a lot of money last year, and I still cleared almost 100,000, right? In 7 months with no money. Now imagine me with money. Imagine me on TV like I'm doing right now. Imagine me growing. Imagine me starting movements. I'm going to beat you, especially when a district gets redder. I'm 175 million% going to beat you, and everybody knows it, and that's why they wanted me to step out of the way, because if I do win, it's going to be at the detriment of what these guys are doing in the party. So what I encourage a lot of the county chairs to do is I'm not dropping out of this race. You either work together and work with me, or you're a part of the problem. You're 100% a part of the problem. I'm not stepping out of the way when this guy could lose. Like, people are dying here. Taxes are going up, and we're not having the quality of life that we deserve. I don't care to play politics. I'm here to play people. I'm here to work with the people. I'm here to talk with the people. I'm here on behalf of the people, not on behalf of the government and the party politics. These guys want a title. Oh, I'm the chairman of XYZ. I'm the committeeman for the state. I'm blah, 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 blah. I don't care about these titles, man. Listen, even me personally, I don't want to be in government more than 8 years. My term limits policy, the 8-10-12 policy is 8 for president, 10 for Congress, 12 for the Senate. Me personally, I don't even want to do a full 10 years in Congress for myself. If I don't resolve the issues, or at least propose significant legislation that makes changes in my district and the country in 8 years, I consider myself a failure at that point, right? I don't want to live off politics. I want to do what I got to do and ride off into the sunset. I'm 31 years old, okay? I just believe that if I don't fight and I don't do something for my district, there ain't going to be too much of an America to deal with. So while I have the opportunity to fight, while I have the energy to fight, I'm going to fight on behalf of the people. I'm going to fight on behalf of my family and my community. I'm going to do what's right for America. So in short, that's the story of Billy Prempeh, the Republican, and why I'm running for Congress in the New Jersey 9th Congressional District.
All right. And folks, if you are watching, please, you can definitely comment. We will respond to your comments. I didn't get a chance to say that in the beginning, but please definitely post your questions or post your comments, and we definitely will address them. We are getting closer to the end of our time. And so one thing I generally ask every person that I speak with is, what is your number one hope for your community? And then what is your number one concern for your local community?
My number one concern is that even if I win and I get things done, that we don't go back to what we dealt with before. We've been dealing with Democrat leadership for the past 60 years, right? And so it's also going hand with that question that you asked, was why is it easy for me to flip? Is people have been voting Democrat for 40, almost 60 years. Your friends, family, everybody you know, there's a high possibility you're going to be a Democrat because of the environment that we live in, right? Is it the appropriate thing? Not necessarily. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. When I go out there and knock these doors, it's the first time they've met a Republican at their door, right? Let alone a 6'2" black dude with a Trump hat and dreadlocks in the 4th Ward, talking about Republican. It's intriguing. You want to know why? Why is this guy a Republican? What are you doing out here at my door? I want to learn more. You are a Republican? You? Okay, tell me more. Now I'm intrigued. Because to the best of my knowledge, if you're a Republican, you're a racist, Uncle Tom, or whatever it is they want to say, and people are actually willing to listen because they voted Democrat for many years. And there's more people that are unaffiliated than there are Republicans. Because you got to ask yourself, if there's 179,000 unaffiliated voters and 69,000 Republicans, why aren't they Democrats? Right? That's a lot of people. They're not Democrats because clearly they don't like Democrats. Well, why aren't they Republicans? We can say, oh, they don't like Republicans, but the truth is, there's no Republicans working the district. That's a fact. I don't care what anybody says. It's not because they say it's too blue and we can't win. There's no Republicans working in the 9th district. There's no one talking to these people. There's no one knocking the doors. There's no one putting out messages. There's nobody doing outreach like I am, right? And that number's quickly turning, and they see it. They don't want that to happen. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. And what do you say to someone who may watch this and is a Democrat and says, this guy, he's talking about the Republicans, I don't like Republicans, and he's talking about how the Republicans are treating him. So then why would I vote for a Republican? What is it about you that's different, or what about you, the ideals of the Republican Party that you bring to the table? Because if somebody's listening, they say, well, that's right, he's talking about Republicans. I don't like Republicans, and why would I vote? I wouldn't vote for a Republican. They're not treating him right.
Well, the truth is this, man, is like, I'm a Republican not because of what some person in the party or someone with a title is. Like, I could care less about, you probably noticed this by now. A lot of people don't like me for that, but like, I don't care about titles. I don't care if you've been in a party for 45 years, everybody and their mother. I don't care. All right. I'm a Republican because I identify with the values and the things that Republicans stand for. Smaller government, self-preservation, very pro-God, very religious, and I believe in lower taxes and the ability to pursue happiness. That's what our country's all about. Well, on the other hand, Democrats are about like, you're oppressed. You can't really make it. We have to give you money. We have to raise taxes to give you money. We have to keep you in a situation because we have to coddle you from cradle to grave. Right? I believe in self-preservation and self-fulfillment. These are a lot of things that the Republicans agree with and believe in. And these are things that I believe in. And these are things that I support. The truth is, though, Democrat or Republican, just because someone's Democrat or Republican, it doesn't mean that there aren't nefarious people. There's some very, very, very good Republicans. Lots of them, actually, and there's also some good Democrats. I've met some really good Democrats with great ideas that I've actually taken insight to and have learned quite a bit from them, So I would say not necessarily not get hung up on parties, but get hung up on the ideology, right? And the ideology is what I identify with, and the things that Republicans stand for, I do. And traditionally, if you really think about it, a lot of African Americans and a lot of Hispanics identify with conservative policies. They just don't realize it, right? There's a lot of black families that are pro-God, There's a lot of black families that are pro Second Amendment and self-defense because, I mean, come on, like, look at what's going on here. You got to defend yourself, right? There's a lot of people that like smaller government because look, every time the government's gotten big and got involved in our lives, it's never been a good situation. There's a lot of people that leave with smaller and lower taxes because I want to grow. I want to advance ourselves. These are a lot of things that black people and Hispanic people traditionally believe in. You know, my parents came to this country to thrive and prosper, not to live off of the government, not to get benefits off the government. We came here to grow. All right. A lot of people identify with this. And these are the reasons why I choose to be a Republican. These are the reasons why I believe it's the right direction to go. And I also see that the Republican Party will grow in the future, despite contrary beliefs, because the culture war is showing that, you know, the Democrats are wrong. But a lot of the things that they're supporting, I'm noticing many Democrats don't even believe in. You know, they're talking about you could be 47,000 different genders. You know, men and women could share a bathroom. A man that's as big as me could body slam you in wrestling, and it's no problem. It's totally legitimate. You know, nah, it's fine, Bill. You know, you're a bigot if you don't go that way. You know, so a lot of these things just don't. They don't really add up or make a lot of sense with what's going on in society. And I noticed the Republican Party tends to have a lot of common sense issues, a lot of things that really make sense. And they're doing what's best for the country and for the economy. We want to conserve our country. I don't want it to go into a super off-the-wall direction, kind of like it's going in. I'm like, heck, Joe Biden's been president for 120 days, and you know, we got the border crisis, 720% over capacity. Gas is through the roof. I don't know how much it is where you live, but gas is almost $4 in New Jersey.
Yeah, yeah. Same here. All right. Well, we, like I said, we are at the end of our time. I could talk to you for the rest of the night. You're such a ball of energy. I love East Coast people because it's just like, you know, it just flows, you know. So a lot of energy and a lot of thoughtful conversation. So I just want to say I wish you the very best. New Jersey is not that far from Maryland, so if you whatever you need from us here, we would definitely love to assist you. It was door knocking and things like that. So definitely.
Well, we're gonna need a lot of help with door knocking in New Jersey, and I believe that. We're going to shock not just New Jersey and the 9th District, but we're going to shock America and let people know that this guy, Bill Pascrell, this powerhouse, not only can he go down, but he's immortal, just like all of us. We're all humans, right? This guy is not some Goliath type of person. If he's Goliath, then I'm going to be David, and I've got an ill slingshot. You know what I mean? He's definitely coming down. He's definitely going to go down. You know?
That's right. So, and if all else fails, we will eat him. We'll eat.
Well, the socialists. Right. You know, I don't know. Human seems a little bit sketch. I don't know if I want to take a bite of that. I will take a bite of that congressional campaign, though, and I will take a bite of that seat. You know, there's nothing like a time that's due to come, and here it is. You know, here we are. And I believe we've got a great shot at this. So anybody that would like to help out with the campaign, if you're in the tri-state area or even in New Jersey, you can find out a little bit more about the campaign by going to www.billyprempeh.com. If you guys want to find out more about what we're doing on social media, you can type in Billy Prempeh on any social media, except Instagram. On Instagram, I'm some guy named Bill, because that's what I am. I'm some guy named Bill who got into politics. And I'm creating some pretty significant waves. So I look forward to seeing you guys in 2022. I look forward to being the next congressman of the 9th District and leading New Jersey and the United States into a much, much more positive direction. And I really hope that everybody that's watching is a part of that. So get ready, buckle up your seats. We're in for one heck of a fight in 2022. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I want everybody to be a part of that victory. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And we will continue to post where people can find you. We will post that on across our social media. I definitely got to have you back on sometime soon just to talk about all different types, because I follow you on your social media and you post very thoughtful videos and content. And definitely I want to get you back on to discuss some of those issues. So
I would love to.
Again,
I would love to.
Yes, absolutely. So folks, that wraps up this episode of the 8:30 show. We are all over social media, as I mentioned before, under the tag Metro Conservative Media. So again, like, share, and leave a comment, and follow us on our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, check out our webpage, www.metroconservativemedia.com. We'd love to get your feedback. I hope to connect with you again next Thursday at the same time. Wishing you warm days and starry nights. Good night.
Thank you so